Now we are going to talk about what is the requirement, what workflow we are going to design. So the requirement is trigger a workflow for invoice when the payment block is set and is assigned to a role. And after that, if the block is set, it is assigned to a role based on company code. The user will have the option to release the block or change the invoice. Okay, this is a simple workflow, but we'll go through a bunch of steps. You'll see. Okay, so first of all, we have to find from scratch what is the particular transaction code. So I'm just going from here, Emma. So I'll just go from probably I'll go from FB03. This is the transaction code. So here is the transaction code that they will have, and probably let's see. And if I double click on it here, I double click on it, not this one. So we'll go through that. This is the GL place. This one. Posting key, not this one. Okay, we'll go from MITRE transaction, MIR4. That's much better. So go over here, MIR4. Okay, now let's go. We'll pick another one. We'll pick a brand new one, MIR4, and we'll take 5100. Delete. Sure. Doesn't exist. Oops. It exists. Let's go to our table EKB and we'll get a good number. So 2000. Let's get something 2020. Fiscal year 2020 document here. Because I want to pick 2020 because may have some issues not here. Because we have stuff for fiscal year closing and all those things. So it's not there, but we'll get something for here. So we'll pick up this one. So 51. Okay, this is the number, the invoice number. Put this here 2018, and so the requirement is okay. It exists which here. So let's just enter year to take care of. Okay, so it was year. Oh, it was in 2019. Sorry. So now this was cancelled already. Okay, let's find another one. Let's pick the one that we had. So again, if you see in SAP Workflow, finding data is a problem. So you might want to have the consultant give you a bunch of data. Click. Okay. So here we'll go to follow on document. Okay. And here we are going to put a block. So the requirement is if I go here and I put a block, suppose E, it should trigger a workflow. Okay. Now the next portion, what we are going to do is this is the requirement. Now what we are going to do, we have to go to transaction, which is SWEL. Okay, let's go to SWEL to find whether there is any standard event that got triggered. Okay, so we execute and there's nothing or that got triggered. Okay, so we have to find a way to trigger an event. Now in SAP, everything when you make changes on a standard transaction code, there's something called change document that gets triggered. Okay, so in order to see what is a change document, we can just go here to this table SE16. Okay, and here you put CDHDR, this is the table name, and once you put this table name, and here today we change the my id student 011, and this is the date, today's date, which is 111, and oops, sorry, not this one, 111, and we'll execute. Okay, so if you see, there is three entries that we did, and we'll pick up the latest one which we did. So 1150 19. Okay, so this is the change document object I can use. Now we might want to see what actually happened in this change. Okay, so let me close some sessions now, and workflow builder I'll close. I'll close something here, and I'll put CD pause here. POS. So the header is the CDHDR is the header. This is the line item which gives me more value. So what I have to populate here is these these things. Okay. So I'll populate this Control Y, Control C, and I'll just populate this. Now execute. Oops. Object value document number. Probably something that get caught problem. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, because something was that was getting truncated. So that's why it didn't populate. So if you see here, this is the field, and the change indicator is U, and this was the name. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is now I'll show you how to trigger an event. Okay, so for this there's no standard event getting triggered. Now what we are going to do, we know the business object for this type of transaction code. Let's find the business object. We go to follow on documents. Okay, let's see, follow on document, and we go to workflow, archive workflow, and this is the business object. Pretty simple. Okay, now what we are going to do is SW1. None of the standard workflow got standard events got triggered, but still we'll see some events here. What other events are there? So there's some bunch of other events, but not there's a change event, but probably we'll create our own. So how to create our own? Okay, so to create a subtype, we click Z. I think we have to follow some process here. Let me see Z star. I just want to make sure there's a naming convention process that we have to follow. Let me see. Uh, Go to because here I have to give a program name. C38 Z star, and here C. Okay, so it's D11. I have to create a new session, and we'll go to SW1. I just so this is another thing that you have to follow. You have to follow the naming convention. This system where I'm doing, they have the naming convention forced, so you cannot create the programs out of the naming convention. So here, what we are going to do, we'll put zbkpf. Okay, and we'll create a subtype. Object type not defined. Okay, we'll create bkpf, and we'll create subtype, and we'll put zbkpf. Okay, and here I'll put this one cppbkpf, and this is same thing. I'll just put description invoice, and I need to put a number zst11 underscore invoice. So let's see, I'll put this cross, and I'll put local objects here. You know the addition for inside. So I'm lacking the authorization. That's not good. Okay. Uh, so let's go here. We'll find the place. This message number. We'll find a way to do something. EU 516. EU 516. So here, well, let's find a different way. So what we are going to do is just since I don't have the authorization, let me see, create subtype. I'll put C, Z, ST11, this one like this. Object type and name, description, and this, and put cross, and put local objects. Oh, there it is. That was the naming convention that was the problem. Okay, that's good. So we found a way. So that's important. Okay. So these are the things you have to follow because this in some projects the naming convention is very strict. So here what I'm going to do is create something called an event. We'll create an event and we'll put payment block. Okay, payment block. I want to put wrong spelling that happens. But payment block, so we'll just click yes. Okay, now every time you create something you have to go here, edit, change to component to implement it. Okay, and then the same thing you have to do, generate. If it cannot be generated because you have to do it object type to implement it. Okay, so then it gets generated. So this event we have triggered. Now you might say how to trigger this event. Now a person who is smart will trigger it through a transaction code. A person who doesn't really know workflow will try to trigger it through code, which is not the way. Since you are a workflow consultant, you should be only writing code. You should use the standard features. Okay, so this is a custom to event that we triggered, but now we are going to use some standard configuration. So this transaction code SWEC will help you. SWEC is something which helps you to trigger workflow events by change document. Okay, so what I'm going to do is here, if you see, it has beleg which is there, and here we have field restrictions. So now if I can add some field restrictions, and I put suppose here I'll put one. The table name is bsec, and oh, the table name was bsec, or no, field restrictions would be bsec. It was bsec or bkp, I think. Wait, the table name would be yeah, bsec clspr, and the old value is this, and the new value is suppose a. Okay, and we'll save it, press enter. And here is the save. Oh, this, it made it for change. Oops, I shouldn't do it. We close it, back out. No, because I want to use my own, so I was trying to use the standard event, which I shouldn't. Okay, see, but if you want you could, but just to make sure we don't mess up something. So what we are going to do is we're going to copy this. Okay, now here we'll put bkpf, and we'll put, now here this event will not show up that we triggered. I made a mistake. We have to do a delegation. Okay, so what is delegation? I'll show. So what happens is this is now my child, but my child is the child of bkpf, but it's not registered as his father or mother. Okay, so in order to do the registration you can do settings, delegate. Okay, and here we'll just copy one, change mode, caution, yes, we know it's cross line and we are going to use it. Now here we will put bkpf, that's my parent, and this is the one where we'll put a child, and we'll hit save, and that's it. It will ask for a customizing request, which is fine. It's not involved in request is okay. Then we'll create one event. Okay, press enter. So that's it. Now before, so if I click here now, you see this event is now showing up. So since it was registered the family, you get this event. Okay, so this is here on change. Okay, now we press center. Okay, number of dependent copies is 2. Now we will see our stuff, PKPF payment, and here we'll go to field restriction and we'll just go to the condition editor because that's what I like. This is much better than the table thing. So here what I'll do is I'll remove all this. Don't care. These things are old ones. Okay. Now here what we are going to search is ZLSPR. Where is it? Where are you? Here. Old new equals. We'll put equals and we'll put a or no. We'll trigger it regardless. Okay. Now here we trigger it. It's yes. Now it's good. Now we'll see the fun part. Now we are going to create the workflow template. We have done all our preliminaries. We haven't done the design yet. So we'll just go to our transaction code. Okay. So the transaction code is /npftc. Workflow template. Go to workflow template and we put CST11 BKPF. Okay. We'll click create workflow for invoice. Okay, created one, and here we will save it. Let's see, this is saved. Okay, that's good. So it's stopped. Now what we are going to do is here we'll put create. The first thing is here that we are doing is we are going to create container elements. Container elements are variables or elements that you are going to use in the workflow template. Okay, and these are very important. So here we are going to put invoice. You can just put invoice. So what is it? You put invoice here and we put invoice, and here in the reference we put object type, business object type here, and we put BKPF. Okay, and here in the properties you got import export. We'll make it mandatory. That's it, and we'll save it. Boom, it's done. Now what we are going to do is this is the one that we triggered. Now we might want to create some other ones. Okay, so what we are going to create is suppose payment block just for the heck. Okay, or we don't need it now, we'll create later on. Okay, so now here, like as I said in the theoretical portion, I'll add the numbers. Okay, so I'll put the company code and the document number. This makes my workflow look nice. Okay, save. Now here triggering event. Okay, the next portion about triggering event is you put business object type and here we put BKPF. Okay, now here we have our event that we created, payment blocks. Pretty simple. Save. Okay, now we activate this. Okay, activate it. Okay, this is the event. So when I clicked on it, I think I'll show, I will not show this one. What I'll show is here. Is let's go to another transaction, SWE2, and if I go here, okay, now let's try BKPF. BKPF, where is BKPF? BKPF, pass way down. BKPF, you see, this entry has been created the moment I created the workflow. Now, as I said, these SAP has now taken our event as its event because we have a parent-child relationship, and it's making the phone call. But in order to receive the phone call, we have to activate this. How you can activate? You can activate from here, but we can activate from here. The moment I do this and I save it, it will be activated there. Okay, so do we have a refresh button here somewhere? No. So we just go back. Probably there wasn't a refresh button in the top. Probably. Let me see. It should be refresh button. No. Yes. No. Probably not. Okay. So BK. Oh, it's in the first page only. See. Aha. Now it's triggered. See. I'll receive the phone call now. Okay. So now what we are going to do is we are just going to go to the workflow builder. Now everything is done. We have found the way to trigger the workflow. Now we have to find the process where they will approve. Okay, so in order to approve, so what we are going to do is we are going to click. You can double click or you can right click, whatever you want. Create, and here you will put a user decision. Okay, so here user decision. Okay, here we'll say approve invoice. Okay, and here we can put ampersand. So you might say, why you are putting ampersand? Because here we can put parameter. So the parameters we can put the document number and the year, probably the document number, and can put, let's see what more values it has. It doesn't have much important values. We'll tweak it and we'll add some more stuff here. Okay, so now this is what is there, and here we'll say approve. uh, thing is approve, and here we can say required mandatory. We'll see mandatory, they need to enter a comment, and then you have change. Okay, so change, and we can say mandatory. Here you need to add a note, and this is what we have now. Now here, this defines whom it will be sent to. So we can define a rule here. So let's see, we'll see EST11 test. It doesn't exist, so we'll create one. So how you create a rule? So this is going to be a little on the HR side, but we'll show you PFAC. Okay, so we'll put CST test. Oops. No, we'll create a rule, and we'll put, so here you have different options. Most of the time standard SAP uses function to be executed. Okay, now there are other steps. We'll show you responsibilities. Okay, and rules for approval, this is the name, and we say, and we can say terminate rule resolution without result. So this I'll show. This what happens is if the rule doesn't find any users, the workflow will terminate. So that's the process. So I'll show how we can take care of this process where suppose someone forgets to maintain a rule or maintain the user for a particular company code, and how you can handle that situation. Okay, so now we'll save it. So the moment we saved it, okay, now here we have defined the rule. Now what is the container? The container will save, will have company code. Okay, company code. Control E, company code, and here we'll put the type name is company code is not a valid element name, so it cannot have spaces. Specify a type name. Here we'll put Lucas, that's the company code, UKRS, and here we'll say it's always by default. Okay, if you want, you can put multi-line. That means you can enter multiple company code that is assigned to particular users or multiple users, and we can say this is mandatory because we need the company code always. Okay, so now we have defined this. Now here you define how to maintain the users. Okay, so you create here something. Okay, rules for approval. Okay, we click create. Let me see which company code was it. So we have 1001. So we'll just use here, if you see 1001, and if I want 1003, I don't know whether it's there or not. And here you put a priority. So the priority, the more the priority, the first it will be used to calculate. Okay, so I'll show you all these things. It's pretty fun. So once we save it, now we have created this entry. Now we will be assigning a user, suppose. I'll find, so you can assign user, position, org unit, job, work center, whatever you want. So I'll just use users. Most company uses position because position is permanent. A user or personal number is not permanent, because now you might say what you are talking about. So suppose you are working for a company as a manager. Okay, you can get you can leave the company because you got a better opportunity. So your name and user and person is has left, but the manager position is still there. So another person, Bob, will come and join this company. So that's the whole thing. So here you can so I'm showing you how to maintain this thing. So here we can just put student. Let me put, user student, or just, and here you can search with wildcard because this is standard SAP. So this is standard SAP out of the box. So we can just use this one. Suppose we use this one. I'll put my one also, and I'll press enter. Okay, and here it is. So here, if you see, mm, you can say continue, and you say continue, and here if you see, these are the two users now maintained. Now what I was talking about is, now here you can simulate something. Okay, it will open a session. The problem is I'm running out of sessions, so let me see, let me close this. Can I close you, please? Yes. Okay, so now I saved it, and now I'll put 1010, and does not support any structures, elements. Okay, does not set flags. Didn't say. Uh, okay, wait. Probably the container element was messed up. Is it not the type? Because okay, let me change it and put it bsec bookers. Now it shows. Okay. Yeah. Now if I put something else, let's put some other company code. We'll put some other company code, and shows nothing. So now that was the thing. If you see, it's terminating. Now in order to handle this, you need to create, what we'll do is we'll just copy this one and we'll create admin, and what we can do is here we'll change it, and I'll put to this one, I can delete, and I'll put here star. Okay, and here suppose I put click here insert agent assignment, and I put user, and I click student, suppose 133, and I click create, and now you see there. Now if I put here some company code that we didn't maintain, which was suppose this one, and I press enter, it picks up the admin. So this is what we did. Now what we have done, now the whole purpose is we created this rule. Now we are going to go to workflow builder, and I put this here. Okay, now here is the binding. So binding is very important. I forgot to tell. Binding is, imagine you have an event, and I'll show it back there. Okay, let me show it from, because I've completely forgot that. And we'll just press enter for now, and we'll activate. Okay, you can save it also, but I'll prefer activation. I'll go back to the initial place. Here is the triggering event. This data needs to pass. This is the button called binding editor. So here we do the mapping. So here by default S4 SAP does it, but if you have something else, you could have bind it. So here, if you notice, this is the event container and this is the workflow container. This is very important. Binding is very important. These are different containers. It needs to move from here to here into the workflow. Then similarly, again, it moves from workflow to task, task to method, workflow to different places. Okay, now this is empty. Why it's showing empty? Because it's messed up. Mhm. So I saved it, but it didn't save it. Okay, we'll just add it again. Okay, create decision, and we'll see, approve invoice. Um, Here we'll put parameter invoice. So we are doing this again, and here approve, approve, we'll put justification, required, required, change. That's what the requirement was, change. These will come as a button. Okay, and here we'll put a rule, and we'll put the rule which was this one. Okay, and here we'll click on binding. Again, as I said, the binding will be company code. Oops, here, company code, dragging business to invoice, company code. This is workflow container. This is the rule container. Okay, press enter, and we'll now here by default SAP provides this. We want, or you will never change this, you'll copy this. So what we are going to do, we are going to copy and go to another transaction, PFTC, the same transaction, but we'll choose standard task, and we'll select this, we'll remove this TS, and we'll copy, and we'll put ZST11 decision. Okay, and here you put a different one, you put approve invoice reason. Now, okay, let me show you what generally people does and what creates this is why I'm going to change it. So I'll put a general decision what it used to be. Okay, and I'll hit save. Now I'll go change mode, container, transfer missing elements. Okay, that's fine, we'll save it. Okay, now this is my custom. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'll put this one. Okay, that's it, and I'll press enter now. Okay, now another thing about these things, you have to make it general task. Okay, so otherwise it will not show up. So generally make it general task. Now these are different options. I'll just reiterate some of these options. So what you can say, this option general task means even if the person was not maintained in the rule, he can be assigned, but we have covered it in the rule. But if you want to put another filter, you will say general forwarding not allowed and all those things. So you click on general task and you click transfer, and here we click enter this, and we will say save. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll create another version just for the heck, because last time it dropped. So here is our process approve invoices. So now what we can do is also we will build a process where you might say that, hey, we have a process where um, the that event this particular task should disappear if someone releases it from outside. So in order to get it released from outside, we have to check again. So there might be a requirement for like that. So in those cases, we'll cover it while we are testing this thing. Okay. So this is what we did for this is a simple decision task. Let me see what we can do. Probably we'll create another send email that or we'll say, or probably I think the word needs to be changed to release. Now I'm designing seeing it release. 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 Okay, that makes sense because I'm releasing the block. And here I did see one thing. So the standard task didn't change to general. General task enter is locked by you. Okay. I was locking this really. Unlocking it. Okay. Here. So just go out. Attributes. General task. Now it will show. It's doing something. So these are scenarios where which happens everywhere. Okay. So these are real life scenarios, and when we'll be doing the when we'll be designing your workflow template, you will have the same thing. Okay, so this is very important. So it's tweaking, and what is this? Column configuration. So these are the column configuration. Okay, now you see this is green. Before it was grayed out. So now I'll click release. Now I'll just create I'll probably create an email step where we'll send an email to the initiator that this has been approved. Okay, so we can get it. We'll show. So this is a standard send email step. Okay, clicking it opens up, and here we can say the invoice is released. Okay, it's released. Okay, and you might say we'll put some more description since we are professional. Document number is released. I will say yes. And we'll probably just populate. And we'll in the testing phase we'll see how we'll add more things. Though it's not part of the development, but that makes you different from others. Okay, send email for invoice. So I did this very good. Now it's there. I activate. The activation is done. Now what we can do is this is what we did. Now for changes we'll do, so these are different. So if you see, these are different steps you can add. Okay, now we'll add more, use more steps as and when we'll be testing more on this. So this covers the portion of the development phase. The next portion of the tutorial will show about the testing.